Hey, man. We are waiting for other scholars to join so that we can start the webinar. The host is in our midst and he's monitoring what is happening on our platform. Hey, man.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, man, it's been 4 amazing years. What has been the feeling?
It's been a wonderful experience, so I'm really happy about everything I've learned and the people I've met. And
Asa, can you kindly mute yourself? Your audio is giving us feedback.
okay.
Yeah, hey, man, we are listening.
And I'm saying it's been 4 amazing years. I've gotten to learn a lot. I've gotten to meet a lot of amazing people and to grow as a person. So, I'm looking forward to what comes after, and I'm definitely excited about it.
I mean, you are an international student, and you've been in Ghana for 4 years. Any plans to stay, or you are going back definitely?
We'll see about that.
Please, those who have your audios on, mute them. We are getting feedback from your audio. Asa, can you mute yourself? Yeah, Heyman, you were speaking.
Yes, I was saying, it's of course Ghana has been a wonderful place. I always want to try new things and to experience another place in the same way I did here.
Okay, I think we have the numbers, and we want to. Mesa, kindly mute yourself, please. Yeah, we have the numbers, and we want to start the program. Our host is ready in our midst. And so we'll start the program with an opening prayer from the Scholars President, Mr. Frederick Eni. Can you lead us in a prayer?
Shall we pray? Our Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for giving us today. We present today's event into your care, praying that may you, God, take absolute control over everything we do today. May this event be a success. We shall give you glory and adoration. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. Good afternoon to everyone. I'm taking you through the instructions on this platform once again so that we can start the program. Please, first of all, make sure your audios are all off. Those who just joined us, put off your audios so that we don't get the feedback when the host is speaking to us. Put your audios off. Erike Dukwa, Seidu, Sakibu, and the rest. Let your audios be off. We are going to have an session of interaction with our host and other resource persons. As has been going to be an there's going to be an interact and other professionals who may join us. And this program is shared live on Facebook and on YouTube. So those who could not join us on Zoom can also look at it on Facebook. The host for today's program is Dr. Richmond Kwame Frimpong. And Dr. Richmond Kwame Frimpong, you are still giving me feedback. Those who have your microphones on, put it off. Yes. Dr. Richmond Kwame Frimpong is an award-winning talent performance and business transformation coach. He has over 14 years industry expertise spanning across technology, financial services, regional economic integration, and management consulting in Sub-Saharan Africa. Currently, he is the managing director of Asase GPS, a company which is a global company, but his office is in Accra. So, Mr. Richmond, if you are ready, we have about 47 Mastercard Foundation scholars who are in their final years and they are about exiting the program. Some are doing professional courses, so they will still be with us on campus here. But those who are doing 4-year programs will be exiting the program. And the world market is as large as you can think of. Some of them may get into the job market and they may feel drowned. They may feel perhaps challenges. So as an expert, you take us through some of the things we need to know if we are thinking of joining the world market in the respect of entrepreneurship, in the respect of perhaps pursuing further studies or looking for jobs. So I present to you Mastercard scholars for your tutoring for the next few minutes. Thank you, Ms. Afripong.
Thank you, guys. Good afternoon to those of you in Ghana, and good morning, good evening to the rest of our team members who are joining us from elsewhere around the world. So this is going to be a very interactive session. And at least for the next 15 minutes, I would crave your indulgence to pay very great attention to some of the key knowledge tools I'll be sharing with you. Jot down any questions you may have as I go along. And when I am done, we are going to have a very interactive session, and there'll be enough time to respond to everybody's question. Now, let me also put you on alert that there are a number of other senior professionals who have joined us and they are on this platform. One is Dr. Bismarck Champion, who is a lecturer in UTS in Australia, Sydney to be specific. We have joining us from Europe, Dr. Patrick Anane, also from the National University of Kiev. He's a medical doctor. And then we have an executive committee person member who is a senior management person in Honeywell. Honeywell is a global company and they do a number of production and handle a lot of global products. One of the senior managers has also joined us from London in the United Kingdom. So when we get to the interactive sessions, these individuals are going to be joining us to answer some of the questions that may be bothering our minds as scholars. Now, this is a meeting I would want every one of you to take very serious. Why must you take it very serious? You must take it very serious because the things I'm going to share It's meant to prepare you. It's meant to coach you. It's meant to give you some direction for your future as far as your future career is concerned, either as an entrepreneur or as an intrapreneur. And maybe for anybody who would want to continue to take a graduate course right after first degree to be able to also do same. And so most of the time, none of these lessons are shared in the lecture theater. And I would crave your indulgence that when you get the opportunity like this to get the wisdom to appreciate what you've got to do, you pay very good attention to receive it. Number two, it's important that you should know that there are employers amongst us. There are senior colleagues amongst us. And so you'll be addressed the way you dress. So make sure you comport yourself in terms of how you look and appear. So let's see your video. Make sure you are not slouching. Make sure you are paying much good attention, and do very well to make sure your internet is good and stable. You are at a place where you cannot be distracted, so that you get the utmost attention to follow all the things I'm going to share. So what am I going to talk about in the next 15 minutes? I'm going to be talking about our future after school. And one critical thing I'll be looking at is where jobs are going and getting to, and how you should position yourself as a scholar. Now, let me say something about Exit Strategy Summit. Exit Strategy Summit is a global summit for Africans, African tertiary students and graduates. And the aim is to make sure that the seeming gap between the lecture theater and the job markets is bridged and is closed, so that anybody who goes through university is equipped with the right skill, right knowledge, right frame of attitude and posture, so that he would have what it takes, either at the graduate level or beyond, to become a great entrepreneur or a great intrapreneur, so that you can also become a great influence on your generation. So we've been having exit strategy for the past close to about 12, 13 years. And we've so far been able to go across West Africa, Southern Africa. We've entered into Europe, and we've done the United Kingdom as well. So we are looking forward to making sure that at least 2 million young people who are Africans who go through university would be given a sense of direction and purpose to become corporate giants in the next 5 to 10 years. So that is our mission. And we are very glad to have partnered the Mastercard Foundation and the Scholars Program to bring this to you. Thank you. So my next slide is talking about something that every student should be familiar with. And I'm sure I've shared my slide with you so you can see. It says, for every exam you have ever excelled in, for every exam you have ever excelled in, you, the individual listening and watching globally, you knew most of the answers to the likely questions before you wrote that paper. For every exam you have ever excelled in, you knew most of the answers to the likely questions before you wrote the paper. It continues to say that you entered every exam hall with possible answers on your mind. So for anybody who has gone through any particular kind of educational system, for any good student, before you get into the examination hall, you would have rehearsed potential questions on your mind that are your expectations to answer. And you would have also rehearsed how you are going to be approaching those questions when they come, so that you do well. The students that do very well after every exam are students that take particular time to make sure that before they get into the exam room, they would have rehearsed very well the kind of answers they ought to give, so that when they get into the exam hall, they are able to reproduce what they have rehearsed. And with that mindset and background, I juxtapose this analogy to my conclusion I draw from this quote and say that, so just like the exam you passed at whatever level in the university, just like the exam you passed, if you can remember the exam you passed, prepare for the exam of your desired future, and your success will be a dress rehearsal. So before you get out of university, before you move into the world of work, into the corporate world, the same way you rehearsed the answers to the questions you answered in the exam room, and because you did that very well, you came out with flying colors, first class, second upper, and all. I'm saying that you must approach the world of work the same way. You must take the world of work as serious as that. And when you do that, you will be on your way to do very well. Now that brings me to the word strategy, because then I have explained the fact that you need to have a certain understanding before you exit out of campus. And the summit is exit strategy. So what is strategy, if we are to put it in a particular perspective? Strategy is simply a plan of action. It is a plan of action that is designed so that you can achieve a particular goal. So first and foremost, you've got to have a goal you want to achieve. Just like on the field of play in any football match, the only way we can tell a goal scored or a goal over the bar is when we have identified what a goal means with the definition of a goalpost. So same with strategy. If you can put together a plan of action and you design that plan in order to realize a particular goal, then you are putting together a strategy. And I'm saying that before you come out of campus, before you finish whatever you are doing at the level of your first degree, it is important to have an exit strategy. It's important to have an exit strategy. Why is it important to have an exit strategy? It's important to have an exit strategy because an exit strategy is a means of leaving your current situation. So here, you are leaving your current situation as a student who is a product of the Mastercard Scholars Program. And it continues to say, either after a predetermined objective has been achieved or otherwise. So before you leave the situation of being a Mastercard scholar and a student, you've got to put together one predetermined objective so that you can achieve it. And when you do that, you are putting together an exit strategy. Now it continues to say that at worst, an exit strategy will save face. At worst, it means that at worst, it is going to make you somewhat come to base with failure so that you are not overpowered by failure in whatever objective you may have. At best, an exit strategy would deliver an objective worth more than the cost of continuing the execution of a previous plan considered. So it's important for anybody who is believing or making an effort to go to the world of work and become a success after this program at this degree level to know that you've got to put together an exit strategy. There is no airplane in the world that does not play or expose the people, the passengers who are on board the flight to the exit strategy in case there is an emergency airborne. So when you sit on any flight, you will notice that before they take off, they will play a video or they will show you the exit strategy just in case there's an emergency. And so they will tell you where you have to go, where you have to pass in case an emergency occurs, so you can save yourself. It is same for this meeting we are having. We are playing the picture of what you've got to do before you take flight into the world of work, either as a postgraduate or as an entrepreneur after school, or even as an entrepreneur who would be working for somebody else. So my question to you is, are you ready for tomorrow when you are done and you sign off the Mastercard program? And tomorrow here meaning, are you ready for work? Are you ready for your postgraduate studies? Are you ready to start something on your own with your own dreams and visions? Do you have an exit strategy that is captured in a blueprint that will guide your future for the next 10 years or more? Are you ready to navigate the path of this dangerous, biased, and disadvantaged world that spares no punches at the ignorant? Are you ready? And that is a question I'm going to be helping you to answer by the exegesis I expose you to, so that you tell whether you are ready or not. So I'll be walking you through the 5 must-knows about the future of jobs, either for the one who is going to even take a second-degree course, or the one who is going to do national service, or the one who is going to start his own enterprise. How do you know where the world is going, especially in this present situation of the COVID and the future, 10 years, 20 years, 15 years, 5 years from now? How do you know how things are planning and things are panning out, so that you can prepare extensively to exit, so that when you exit 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, the same people you sat in the same class with, read the same notes, went to the same lectures, you would be able to show worth and become Africa's next global giant, so you can lead the conversation on the continent. Now, if you look at the slides that is showing now, you will see an inscription with the heading, "The Jobs Landscape in 2022. The Jobs Landscape in 2022. And if you look at it carefully, it is talking about emerging roles that are coming because of global change, and that is going to even crystallize and become more meaningful by 2022. And you will notice that about 133 million out of 133 million that represent the jobs landscape, you will see the top 10 emerging. And then you can see the top 10 declining. That makes up about 75 million of the jobs landscape by 2022. And this is information that is sourced from the World Economic Forum. Now, you can tell very well that the jobs that are the top 10 emerging are not the regular job landscapes that we have grown to be made known to. So we are told that you go to school, you do a particular course, and you are likely, if you pass well, you get a good class, you are likely to get a good place to either work, a good school to take your postgraduate studies, or even a good opportunity in a venture capitalist enterprise or any funding opportunity that can help you as an entrepreneur. But I'm saying that if you can take a critical look at the jobs landscape and how it is changing, it can guide your thoughts. It can guide what you become. It can guide what you do. And top 10, running through the top 10, you see data analysts and scientists. You see artificial intelligence and machine learning specialists. You see general and operation managers. You see software and application developers and analysts. You will see sales and marketing professionals, all the way down to organizational development specialists, new technology specialists, and information technology services. If you look at the top 10 declining, you can tell again an item like general and operations managers found in that same declining tax. When you can see it also repeating itself in the top 10, it is giving you a clue. It is giving you a clue to say that if you do not reinvent and you do not take a critical look of who you become and how you can become better at whatever you do, you will not have anything to show. Look at the next slide so you can see it very clearly, what I just projected before on this blue and black slide. And it is showing you that you've got to be analytical in your thinking and innovative instead of being manual in your thoughts. You've got to be active in terms of learning and learning strategies. You've got to be creative. You've got to be an initiator of original things and not just doggedly copy and paste ideas and things that people do. You've got to have a certain mindset of critical thoughts. You've got to be interested in complex problem solving. And you've got to take leadership and social influence serious. Emotional intelligence is mentioned there. Reasoning, problem solving, ideation, system analysis, among others, are all cited. So you can see that the future of your jobs, the future globally of your graduate studies, the future of your life as a budding entrepreneur is premised on your ability to move away from just what you have learned in the textbook, in the lecture theater, to an open, broad mindset of being able to think on your feet, being able to find answers to difficult solutions, and being able to create things as and when with the speed of light. And when you do that, you will notice that the changes that have occurred and occasioned the way the world is on the jobs landscape between 2015 and 2020 will still not be a disadvantage to you. So if you look again, you will see office and administration, and it is declining. It is declining by a little over 4.7 million. Casual arts, design, entertainment, sports, and media is also declining. Legal is declining. And you can see the growth polls on the right side. And the growth polls is giving you a heads up to know what you've got to do with whatever you learn these times. Now, another important thing you've got to appreciate and understand as a scholar as you prepare to exit into the world of work is to appreciate what artificial intelligence is going to do to your future in terms of what you become. Artificial intelligence is changing the dynamics, and you have to appreciate it. You have to understand what it's going to do. So you will see that there's the left side, which talks about human interface, and there's a right side that talks about machine interface. So you notice that there is a merging point where we are now introducing machine engagement, machine learning, artificial intelligence to do the same work you are being prepared on campus to come and do. And there is statistics from 2018 up to 2025. And if you care to know, you will notice that the dynamics is changing rapidly from 2018 up to 2025. Now, in 2018, if we had 100% jobs that needed to be shared between humans and machines, you notice that humans had an advantage of about 71%, and machines were left with about 29%. As time progresses, you notice that all the way up to 2022, the projection is that machines are moving from 29% to about 42%. That is instructive. It means that the portion, the percentage that is left for you and me to be doing with our certificates and degrees is being eaten away and is being crowded out by machine efforts. So from 29 to about 42%, which is actually huge. And it even gets worse when it passes more than half of the entire pie in terms of the job landscape. And now you notice that by 2025, machines will be doing more than half of the work compared to humans. So it is between 52 for machines, 48 for human. That should tell you that you've got to step up your game and move away from the traditional thought of knowing what to do and do something more, which I'll still share with you. But I just want you to appreciate the bare facts and the bare statistics and the bare knowledge about how the future looks like so that you can appreciate how imperative, how expedient, how urgent it is for you to consider doing something different and have an exit strategy that can guide you to navigate your path so that you don't find yourself at a disadvantaged end. Now look at this slide also. And this slide is giving you an idea of the different phases of involvement of machine support, referenced here as the robot revolution. And you see that there are robots that are going to be like human beings, and that is going to be about 23% by 2022. There are those, so the human being ones are going to be mobile just like you are mobile. They are going to talk just like you talk. They are going to interact and do most of the things you do. The stationary ones are going to be about 37%. Then the aerial and underwater robots. I mean, it's so amazing that the aerial If you look, it is the revolution is such that it is taking almost absolutely every space that even human cannot take cover. And it is looking at aerial, aerospace, and even underwater. And then it is looking at the land. This is instructive. And it is saying that the first movers, 23% of the human robots, are going to be occupying about 35% of the financial services world. Very instructive. 53% are going to be taking the automotive, the aerospace, and the supply chain industry. 52% cover of the oil and gas industry by the aerial and underwater robots. That should tell you that you cannot be the same today and be hanging on to just your certificates and your class alone to get the future you want if you want to move at a certain pace. Even worse is the automotive, the aerospace, and the supply chain industry, which will be wiped away and controlled by about 42% of 33% of the non-human land robots. It's instructive to note. So having shared this knowledge of how the future looks like, this should give you a guide as to what course you even take a graduate study in. This should give you a guide as to which company you should begin your national service in. This should give you a guide as to how you plan and put together a working document that will tell where you start and where you don't start. This should even tell you where you should start thinking of working for free as a volunteer so that your future career is safeguarded and is ring-fenced. This should give you an idea as to how you prepare and get yourself ready. Because remember, the global landscape now is not left to just individuals. So if there is any opening in the world of work and in the graduate studies world where you want a scholarship to apply for a second degree course or anything, remember that the opportunity is open to everybody globally. And so for somebody who is sitting in Sri Lanka, for another person who is in Vietnam, for another who is in China, for another who is in Zimbabwe, South Africa, that same opportunity that is open to you somewhere in Ghana is the same opportunity that is open to them. And so we are not going to look at anything more than your preparedness and your readiness, and how well you get yourself ready. So it's very important, it's very instructive to know that you've got to have an exit strategy. If you don't have an exit strategy, then you are going to be left out and you will not be spared the punches of not being ready for the world of work. So what must you do? Take notice of this quote. Technical competence will not be enough. So I'm a mechanical engineer, I'm a medical doctor, I'm an actuarial scientist, I'm an economist, I'm a mathematical scientist, I'm a data specialist, I'm a computer scientist. Technical competence will not be enough. So what should you be looking at? 1, critical thinking. 2, teamwork. 3, a spirit of experimentation. 4, problem-solving skills are going to become the foundations that will make you a medical doctor, but you would have technical competence plus critical thinking, teamwork, a spirit of experimentation, problem solving, among others. And even though you may be a medical doctor, even though you may be a chemical scientist, you will notice that there will be a medical doctor who would be just left as a doctor working in a hospital, and his domain is just a ward and about 10 patients. There will be another doctor whose well will be that he manages a chain of hospitals across sub-Saharan Africa, even though he's a medical doctor, and he supervises the organization of a number of global hospitals, and he's also a surgeon specialist. Now you notice that these two different medical doctors are not the same. That is why I say that technical competence will not be enough. It is critical competence. Critical thinking is so significant. Teamwork is so significant. A spirit of experimentation, very significant. And then problem-solving skills, among others. These are going to become increasingly important, and it will be very necessary to begin to put together your exit strategy in any of these growth poles I am sharing with you as a young person and as a scholar, most importantly. So, for scholars who are interested in the future where they will be leaders, for scholars who are interested in a future where there will be giants, for scholars who are interested in setting the pace and influencing the continent, for scholars who are interested in taking the dynamics of critical thinking and thought leadership and becoming giants on the continent, for those scholars, you can look at this slide and begin to look at where you must begin to build your competencies and begin to get your strength. It's important so that as a scholar, you do not just become a scholar, but you become a scholar of sorts. Very instructive. So what do? Look at the page carefully. And if you are watching, make sure your sound is still on mute. Look at the page carefully. Look at the page carefully. Look at the page carefully. I have a one-page strategy document on the page. And that one-page strategy document is sharing with you what your exit strategy document is supposed to be like. So you probably thought that, so how do I put this together? How do I come about thinking and putting together a plan that will consider all the things that have been shared and make a good use of what lessons we are being taught to do? If you care to know, there is no relevant venture anywhere in the world that begins and has success embedded in it that does not have a written down document. You don't have any business coming out of school as a graduate if you have not put together a strategic plan that will guide your path and capture almost everything that concerns your life. And this must capture your vision. This must capture your goals. This must capture your strategy. And this must capture your tactics. And I'll share this with you subsequently so that it becomes a guide that will guide you together a plan of your own. Now I make a quote and say that strategy is the driving plan. So when you put together the plan, that is your strategy to say that this is what I want to achieve. But then when you let your daily routine determine your future return, you embed in that plan what I call tactic. And I define tactic to be the route path that is buried in the daily routine, so that your daily routine, the things you do daily between now and the time you sign off out of school, whatever you do daily will tell where you are going, and it will guide every aspect of your life, every single aspect of your life. And when you are able to do that, you will notice that there are two escalators here I'm showing. There is the escalator where one person is on and is not ready to change for the future. It's not ready to change with the things I've shared. And you will keep working so hard, but you notice that the harder you put in, you still get to stand at where you are. And it takes so much effort, but little progress. And there is another escalator that considers this new way of thinking about graduate studies, this new way of thinking about getting employed, this new way of thinking about starting your own business as a scholar, that you will put in a critical essence of effort, and it will take you miles way ahead, yes, ahead of your colleagues. You decide which one you are interested in. And if you are interested in that, then you've got to take this new way of thinking and become a lifelong learner, and not think that after first degree as a scholar, I am virtually done with almost everything I've got to do. And what I have gotten from the classroom and the certificate is enough. It is not. It is not. It can never be. So that whatever plan you put together can capture all these angles I'm sharing regarding your family, your spirituality, your personal growth, money and finance, health and fitness, fun and recreation, work and career, everything. And that is where I show the wheel of life, so that your life will become meaningful. It will be worth the effort of the master, the scholars program. It will be worth the effort of the people, the family, the friends who supported you and believed in what you were able to do. the lecturers and teachers who expose you to the things you've got to do. And even this meeting, which is giving you an opportunity to take a step way ahead, to take a peek into the future and take a leap into the future that will give you heads up and advanced knowledge. And when you take this serious, there is an exercise you've got to do. And I call it the exploratory analysis that you've got to do. I'll share that with you subsequently. But the first thing you've got to do is that you have to now begin to discover your purpose for life, because it is your purpose that will determine your vision document. It is your purpose that will determine what matters to you most. It is your purpose that will tell what you fight hard for. It is your purpose that will determine your direction for life. And so when all is said and done, what one thing do you want your name to register on the minds of people when your name is mentioned? What one thing do you want the whole world to know you for when your name is mentioned? What value do you want the world to associate you with when all is said and done? You've got to identify and discover the reason why you have been brought to this level, where even the scholars program has given you the opportunity to come to where you have gotten to. It's important. It's important so that you would be able to make meaning out of your life and bring some joy and some fulfillment at any point in time to whatever you do. Now, how do you do that? You do that through this self-exploratory analysis. You do that by making sure that you have discovered your shape. And I'll talk about how to do that. You do that by finding your heartbeat, because the shape, the first one is spiritual gifting. The second one, which is the age, is the heartbeat. Now, let me go back a bit. So when I say shape, I am referring to how do you get to identify your shape, your make, so that you'll be able to tell what kind of strategy you put together before you come out of campus. And the S is spiritual giftings. That is the gift that you think you have. You did not get it from anywhere. You did not learn it from anywhere. But there's something about you are able to do, and you believe that it is God that gave you that thing. Identify it and put it somewhere. It will be a guide. It will be a shape that will guide you, because the shape of an articulator car tire and the shape of a saloon car tire, the shape alone will tell you which tire is meant for which car. The shape of a ladle and the shape of a tablespoonful will tell you which one is meant for what. The shape of a cutlass and the shape of a bread knife will tell you which one is meant for what. So when you identify the S, the next thing you identify is the H, which talks about your heart. Where is your heart? Many of you have certificates. Many of you are going out of campus, but you know that the course you read and what you really want to do, they are two different things. So you've got to identify where your heart is. And if you can identify where your heart is, you will now appreciate the essence of this scenario I'm going to paint, where somebody will go to school and read so much about business, become a professor. Another person would finish the same school and will follow his heart and probably identify that he can play football or something. And when he follows his heart, he follows his heart, he follows his heart, he chases a small ladder that has air filled in it. And when he chases that ladder that is filled with air, together with 10 other people on the football field, he places it into 2 metal posts we call goalposts. And anytime he enjoys himself and he dribbles among colleagues and friends, and he hits this ladder ball with heart and passion, it enters those 2 metal posts, and the whole world stands and screams, "Go!" and money hits his pocket. Meanwhile, the young man who is a first-class graduate in mechanical engineering will still be struggling for a penny and a cent. Find where your heart is. And to find that, ask yourself, what drives you? 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 Ask yourself, who are the people, the people that I feel I need to be of help to? Ask yourself, who are those people? Ask yourself, what are the needs I feel most drawn to? There are some needs you feel drawn to. What are those needs? What are they? You've got to appreciate that and be able to answer and say, what needs am I most drawn to? So that you'll be able to do what you were born to become, and you're able to do what you are born to do. The next thing is that you should be able to ask, What cause am I most passionate about? 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 You should be able to answer that. And when you do, it gives you a guide to where your heart is. Now, I will share this with you subsequently. And when you take them, the numbers you take will be a guide to you as to what you feel most strongly to, so that you can be guided. This one talks about the next, which is A. So I've talked about S, I've talked about H, I'm talking about A. Now, your A is your ability. Your ability. And here you've got to take a personality test. Again, it is shared here. And I'll show you how you take that test, and it will become a guide for you. When you are done, you can now identify your purpose and measure it in a purpose statement. That is why when you go to any serious organization, you will see mission statement. You will see mission statement. The mission statement is the purpose statement. And out of that, you build a vision document. Vision is just like what the eye is to the body. So vision is to your life what your eye is to your body. And it doesn't matter what certificate you carry. If you want to exit campus, craft your vision in your exit strategy document. Your vision to take a graduate course, your vision to become whatever in 10 years, your vision to marry whatever woman in the next 5 years, your vision to build what kind of life must be captured out of your purpose, and it must be written down. When you are able to do that, you now put all of them into goals, and those goals would be definite with specific details that are measurable over a period of time. And they would also be time bound. You put a particular time there. You have agreed that by this time I want to achieve so and so and so and so. And of course, they must be ethical. And when they are recorded, they become goals. And those goals will determine what you do daily, because then they will determine what book you read, what course you take, what school to take your graduate course. Those things will determine what you become. And when you are able to do that, then you can be sure that your daily routine is guaranteed. The next critical thing that guides you is putting together in your exit strategy plan your financial independence barometer. Many of us have been supported by the Scholar program. But right after this Scholar program, it doesn't matter what course you read. It doesn't matter where you want to get to. You've got to put together an FI planning barometer, as I put it, because becoming financial independence has very little or nothing to do with your school certificate. Becoming financially independent has to do with some more understanding or key, because life has many keys. Just like if you enter any house, the key to the bathroom is not the same key to the bedroom. So why do you expect that you become financially independent and prosperous and wealthy just because you have first class in medicine? Why do you want to become successful financially just because you read business administration, just because you read biological chemistry, just because you read actuarial science, just because you have a first class 4.0? No. The key that will open the door to the bathroom will not open the door to the master bedroom. So you, after doing these things I've shared about purpose, about vision, about goals, about daily routine, your exit strategy plan, for whatever thing you want to accomplish, you've got to set aside another plan in your exit strategy document, which is about how financially independent you become. And here, if you look at the dashboard, you will look at the quadrants as shared by Robert Kiyosaki. And he talks about how come sometimes the C students are the people who do very well and employ the A students and determine their income. It shares that. It shares that. It shares that. And it's important, you've got to appreciate it so that you do not become a burden when all is said and done. If all these things can be done, then I can assure you, friends, that you are on your way after the Scholars Program to taking the lead, and in the next 5 years, becoming a great influence on your generation. It doesn't matter wherever you stand. And I can assure you that if you can take this serious and prepare to exit based on the direction of your future, you will not become a product of your circumstance. You will not become a product of your environment. You will not become a product of your continent. You will not become a product of the challenges in your family or your background. You will become a product of your decision. So it doesn't matter what, you will notice that you rise above every challenge and you become a great inspiration. I believe deeply that none of the people who have made it to this meeting globally under the Scholars Program are going to be left struggling. Why? Because even after this, we are going to be putting you into teams and we are going to give you direct mentors, especially for those who be serious, and will guide you all the way so that in the next 10 years, when we are looking for people who are influencers, people who are changing the thought patterns of the globe, and people who are scaling heights in academia, scaling heights in engineering, scaling heights in business, scaling heights in finance, scaling heights all around, none of you will be out of that scheme. And I believe I will be there with you to celebrate with you. Thank you very much, and God bless you. So that ends the end of my slides, and I'll hand over to the MC, so to speak, so that he can moderate the rest, and then we can have a very good interactive session.
Thank you, Dr. Richmond. We are privileged to have you present to us the Exit Strategy Summit. I believe in our own ways, we've jotted down some of the things we need to know going forward so that we can be excellent leaders exiting campus to the world market. A few introductions. We have in our midst Mr. Ben Kerman. Ben Kerman is a consultant of the Mastercard Foundation Scholars Program, and he's joining us from the United States.
Oh, wow.
Mr. Kerman, you are welcome.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here. Thank you for including me.
You're welcome. Any special words for our scholars? Ben.
I'm sorry. Well, I would like to.
Hi. Sorry, apologies. I was speaking on mute. But go on.
Well, the one thought I had was that the speaker's very wise words regarding finding purpose and the many questions that he suggested we ask of ourselves really help us set that direction so that we do become a product of our own vision. I thought that was very well said. And I think at whatever age we're at and whatever place we are at in our career, it is good to ask these questions of ourselves. And so thank you to our speaker as well.
Thank you, Ben. Felix, you wanted to say something?
So Felix is from Annual, one of the global leaders who joined us also.
Hi, thank you, Richmond. Thank you, everyone who joined. I think you made a very, very revealing statement there, and some of your facts are actually also very true, because what we have in the industry, as you rightly highlighted, that machine learning, artificial intelligence are all becoming part of the routine work these days. So you cannot sit down and say that this is the one area that I'm going to focus on. It's very important to be versatile, very important to learn the new technologies that are coming up, in addition to the skill that you have studied. And so that when any changes, industrial transformation comes within your area, the places that you're working or your industry, you're able to, artificial intelligence and machine learning is not going to take over the world. Yes, it's going to have a very, very, very powerful impact, but these people are still going to be relevant. People are still going to be important. So it is good to know about it, but don't get scared that it's going to take over all the jobs that are coming about. It's important to learn and know about it, to be able to work with it as well. So as you're about to come out of university or go on to additional postgraduate studies, make sure that you at least know about the new technologies coming, the new inventions coming, and the new machines that we could be working alongside as individuals and as graduates. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Felix, for your insightful presentation. Mr. Richmond, at this point of our seminar, do want to take questions from our scholars. Perhaps there might be something bothering our minds. There might be something that we are so scared of. Everybody is talking about artificial intelligence. What is going to come of me? Am I going to be relevant at the world of work? And what have you? If you permit me, is it okay to start taking questions from our scholars?
Go ahead, please.
Hello, Mr. Richmond. Thank you very much. And so, scholars, if you look at your Zoom, there is a portion that you can raise your hand to ask questions. There's a portion that you can raise your hand to ask questions. So when you click on chat, you can see invite, you can see mute me, and you can see raise hand. If you raise your hand,
Joyce. We have Joyce and Anoche's hand up.
Okay, so if you raise your hand from there, I will call you and you will speak. So currently we have Joyce. Joyce, your hand is up. Joyce, you have to first of all unmute yourself, then you speak.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much for this presentation. I want to know if one wants to be a lecturer or a teacher some years to come, where should the person do his or her national service? This is my question, please.
All right, taking note of that. Let's take another.
Okay, I can see
Mr. Kohn's iPhone, yes.
Connie, your hand is up.
Exactly, sir. Please, I joined the conversation later on, but I don't really know whether he touched on the fact that if you are studying a particular course at the university, for instance, I'm a chemist, I'm studying chemistry. So is it really important to do something extra aside maybe the national service I will do and then the job I will get after school? Is it really compulsory for me to find myself doing something extra to get myself an income, or I can really depend on my outcome or whatever I will get from what I will be doing after school? I don't know whether he touched on it earlier on, but I want to know. I want more insight about it.
Okay, so Connie is looking at multiple stream of income. That's well noted. Joan Esuman. Joan, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you very much for a nice presentation. My question is that most of us, we might like to do a graduate course, and then we will learn very hard and pass in the universities. But then the universities we want to further on will be demanding for professional examination in SAT, TOEFL, and other professional exams. And I don't know why, after our previous universities have certified us and have passed us, I don't know why those other examinations are needed. Is it really necessary? Thank you.
Right, let's take 2 more if we can.
Okay, thank you. We have iPhone joining. I don't know who is it, but I can see an iPhone with a hand up. So you can speak. Unmute yourself and speak.
Okay, so my question is, if you want to be an entrepreneur, like starting is very difficult, and especially when the business is not that big. So after the university, do you look for a job to get some income and then invest it into your business, or what do you do? That's my question.
Okay, last one, and then I start
answering. Thank you very much. Joyce, do you still want to ask a question? I can see your hand up.
Yes, please. I want to ask one more question.
Okay, Joyce, we are
I'm
taking the last
bit confused. Like, I'm a little bit confused after his presentation on if you want to further your studies, like the courses or the programs that you need to choose or you want to do. And I would say that I was having in my plans to do, let's say, public administration, as a master's in public administration. But now that machines or artificial intelligence is taking over the job market, I'm somehow confused. Going to do this program, is it really going to help me in future? Thank you very much.
Okay, so at this stage, it's important if you are a scholar and you are on and you can turn your video, turn it on so I can pick you out. You never know, I may be giving you an opportunity somewhere else. Now, let me start from the bottom. If you look at the indices and the numbers and the projections that showed up throughout the presentation, you notice that artificial intelligence is coming up, yes, but it is not taking over entirely, 100%, no. So even at a point, I talked about the fact that technical competence alone is not enough. You've got to know what the new order, you've got to know what the new order is bringing. You don't have to be scared. You just have to know where the future of jobs are going. And you step up and you build a multiple skill that can still make you relevant. So yes, we are getting to a period where, I mean, let me give an example. The current airport that Dubai has fixed together, even in these COVID times, you virtually meet a person who would interact with you and check your temperature or even pick your passport and do anything with it. So artificial intelligence is not replacing 100%. It means that it doesn't mean we are not going to have lawyers, for example. It doesn't mean we are not going to have economists, for example. But we are saying that don't be bereft of the understanding that you are going to have a big competition with artificial intelligence. And so you've got to know more. You've got to become more so that you would be able to still become relevant in the world of work. And most importantly, whatever you are going to do must be purpose-driven. Be purpose-driven so that you don't just take a course because you've heard that if you read accounting or if you read banking and finance or if you read medicine, you are going to make money. Money should not just be the driving factor of what you want to become. Because if it's just becoming a lawyer for becoming a lawyer's sake, then I'm saying that you are not going to have the interest to become a lawyer who can interpret financials of a company. You are not going to have even the interest to appreciate anything outside of the scope of what you learn. And when you are limited like that just because of your certificate, because of the class, because of the course you read, then you are not going to be relevant, and artificial intelligence will take over. For many of you, many of the things that we could do before alone on our own, now our phones can do even more. Before, you probably had to type. Now you can use your phone, speak, and it will translate the speaking into typing. But you've got to appreciate how to even use that so that you become relevant with time. So I'm just rehashing that. Just as I presented, artificial intelligence is not taking over 100%, but you've got to be valuable and appreciate the landscape and the dynamics so that you become more and you know more. When you do that, It doesn't matter what happens to the global landscape, you still become relevant. The next question was about entrepreneurship. And it's about, well, I want to become an entrepreneur. And do I have to go straight to second degree, or do I have to work with somebody, or do I have to just go ahead and start my own enterprise? Many entrepreneurs are driven by passion and purpose. But I want to say that that alone is not enough. So if you have an idea to become an entrepreneur, even after school, it's important to understand the basics of running any enterprise. And especially when you have not had any hands-on experience whatsoever at any level in your life, you'll be experimenting with your future. There is a great statistic about the number of businesses that start in a year and the numbers that fail and don't become successful. So you don't want to become part of the statistic of enterprises that fail. So it's always important that if you can, use your national service moments to get an understanding of how things work in terms of running your business. Use the opportunity to volunteer and work for businesses that you aspire to become like, so that you go to them and work for free, just so you can appreciate the ins and the outs of how those businesses run, so that when you start your own, you'll be able to know what to do and what not to do. So it's great to have an idea as an entrepreneur, but it's very important to understand how to run that business. What you learned about building a business in the lecture theater is not the same as building that enterprise, not necessarily. So you have to be deliberate about learning apprenticeship. And many young people don't want to do apprenticeship, especially when it's not earning them anything. I just finished school. I'm a first-class graduate, business, banking and finance, first-class graduate in mechanical engineering, electrical engineering. I want to be working with the first blue chip company in town, and I want to earn hundreds of thousands of dollars. I want to have my first car when I get my first appointment letter. It doesn't work like that. You just finished medical school. You just finished housemanship. Right after that, you want to become the leading lawyer in the department. It doesn't work like that. Learn apprenticeship. Sometimes you learn it for free. Sometimes you volunteer and you don't get rewarded for. And when you do that, you are able to gather experiences that would have cost you a lot of mistakes. And when you do, a year or 2, 3 or 5, you can now begin your enterprise. Sometimes, even whilst you are doing the work, and you can learn the rubrics of making mistakes and bringing other people to support you, so that when you begin your own business, you'll be able to do something with it. And there are so many examples to learn from. The next question was about, why must I write a course when I want to take a graduate study? Some would take JRE, some would take some other courses. Why is it necessary? It is necessary because it is a requirement. Your first degree is good, but it is not just enough for every course to just use your first degree, first class certificate to get a postgraduate studies without being tested. And depends on the jurisdiction. In some universities in America, you've got to pass a particular text in GRE, just so that we can appreciate your competencies, just so that we can tell that whatever you learned, you can slap it on as you progress into the next level of your academic excellence. So embrace it and get it. It will make you better. Then somebody said, I wanted to be a trainee teacher. That's the last but one question I have. And he's asking whether it is good to have that as a goal or not. Why not? If you want to be a teacher, either as a lecturer or either as a senior high school teacher or even at the primary level, remember whatever you decide to do in terms of career must be purpose driven. Somebody can be a lecturer and he will feel fulfilled and he will be very great and very happy and very satisfied. Another will become a banker, and every morning when it is Monday morning, he wishes that Monday morning never comes because he's not happy as he's waking up to go to the office. So whatever you do must be something that gives you fulfillment and excitement and answers a particular problem in your generation that gives you fulfillment. When you do that, You work so much so that work doesn't look like work. So it doesn't matter if it's a teacher you want to become. Follow that course. Appreciate why you want to become that teacher and do it as if that is the only thing you were born to do. You'll be amazed. The world will grow to recognize you. And that is when you become a success. The last one was multiple streams of income. Let me say that 10, 20 years ago, it was said that go to school, get good grades, pass, get a good job, get a good salary, and you become financially independent. It doesn't work anymore. If you want to become financially independent, you must learn to create multiple streams of income. Now, multiple streams of income does not necessarily mean you have to do a number of salary jobs. No. There are many things you can do whilst you are doing your regular full-time job, and it will still bring you an additional income. One of them is learning to appreciate investments so that whilst you work for money, your money will work for you. It becomes a multiple stream. One of them is learning to put your talent to work. So you discover your talent, you develop your talent, and then you market your talent. So you can write a book. You may be working as a medical doctor, but if you have the passion, if you have the talent to write, you can write a book. And when you write that book once and you put it on Amazon, that becomes your multiple stream. People will read it and they will buy it and money gets into your pocket. So that is how you build multiple streams. That is how you generate multiple streams. And when you do, you become financially independent. Thank you. You can take the next set of questions. And Felix and Dr. Anane from Ukraine, all the way from Ukraine, is here. So he can answer some medical questions for those who wants to do medical school and the like. Thank you. So more questions, we can pick them.
All right, thank you, Dr. Richmond, for answering our questions. Okay, I can see Etonam's hand is up. Etonam, you can unmute yourself and you ask your question.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you very much, Doctor, for your presentation. I have 3 questions. The first one is about graduate school. In certain fields, it is usually said that you need to have some form of job experience before you go to school. So before you continue with your education, that is to the graduate or postgraduate level, so that later when you come back, you would be better employed, or you would have more chances of being employed. And please, I want to know how accurate that is. Because sometimes when you finish the undergraduate and then you move straight to graduate level, that's master's and PhD, people say that coming back to get a job is usually difficult. So maybe unless you want to go into academia, then you can move straight away. That's the first question. And the next one is about goal setting. Personally, for me, I think that goal setting is maybe somehow difficult because over the years, I have set some goals for myself, but I've realized that the goals keep changing over time. So I don't know, it becomes confusing sometimes. So I want to know if it is okay that with time my goals should change. And if they change, on what basis should they change? That is to say that if I want to do something today and then tomorrow it changes to something else, is it still appropriate? And then finally, during your presentation, you usually made a reference to first class engineering, going back to work for the C students and all that. I want to know, why is it that almost always that is the case? Because I've attended several seminars, and in all of these seminars, they usually say that, oh, first class students in engineering, they come out and, you know, they struggle all the way and all that. I just want to know why it is always the first class engineering or first class mathematics students. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Felix, would you want to take any before I go on?
Can you hear me or I'm on mute?
I have unmuted you.
Okay. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. The lady who just spoke, what's your first etonam? Okay.
Yes, etonam.
All right, etonam. So your first question is when someone is talking on the background.
Is that Richmond? I think you can mute.
Yes,
them as the host.
I have done that.
I've been muted. Okay. Hello.
Go ahead, please.
All right. So your first question is needing to have a job experience or work experience before you get to master's program, correct?
Correct.
All right. That is not always the case, and it doesn't have to be always the case that you have to have job experience before. In fact, in the Western world, they don't do national service, right? So people get straight into master's program right from the first degree. As long as you're ready to study, some people even continue from master's program to PhD before they come to the job world. What you have to be aware of is that, and also I'm going to combine your question of a first-class engineering student working for a C-class person or something like that. Whatever you're studying, you have to make it a conscious effort that you are the best of what you're studying, right? So if you're a first-class engineering student and you are very good at what you're doing, as soon as you come out and you exhibit that skill, you make sure that you are the master of your own skill, the master of your art. If it is architectural engineering, if it is accounting, if it is whatever it is, and you are so good at it, if you're going to go for a job interview or something, try to let the employer or the person that you're going to have interview with know what you are bringing to the table. So if you come in to work for me, you should be able to prove to me that you're bringing something that I don't have, all right? You may be a C student, an A student, whatever student it is, that's okay. Once you come out of university, no one is going to ask you whether you got an A or B or C. What I'm going to ask you is, I have a problem, can you solve that problem for me? Okay, so regardless of what grade you get, the most important thing is you become a master of your skill, of your art, okay? So if you have to go straight to your master's program after your first degree or your PhD after your second degree, make sure that the end game of what you're doing is that you are perfecting your skill, so that when you come out of the master's, it doesn't matter if you have experience or not. You come to me and you tell me, you have this problem, Felix, in your company, and this is how I will solve that for you. This is the solution I've got to solve for you, okay? So you then become the person I'm going to take, whether you had a C or B or A. Now, the first class person will come, and then the C-class person would normally be the one who can solve my problem. So in that case, I'm going to take the C-class person, okay? So be just consciously aware of the fact that whatever you're studying, first, second, or third degree, become the master. Do your best. You cannot be everything for everyone, but that little thing that you think you can really, 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 really master, become the best at it. So if you're a medical doctor, that's why they specialize. If you're an accountant, that's why they specialize. If you're a marketing person, you're now looking at your digital skills, because you're not just going to be writing strategies. You want to know, how do I work with the social digital economy coming out there, so that you can solve real problems. I think the challenges we have in the third world normally is that it's book, book, book. Pass exam, pass exam, pass exam. When I give you a real world problem, you're not able to solve for me. So as you are going about coming out of universities, think about how to apply the knowledge you've learned to everyday solution, everyday problems, okay? And then you won't have that difficulty of, do I have to have a job experience to go to master's, or I'm going to work for a C-class person, or that sort of thing. You want to perfect your skill. I think that's that's what I can say at this moment. Richmond, back to you.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So great perspective from Felix, from who works with Annual Global, but he works from London. So he's giving you a perspective as a senior person in the corporate world and what the expectations of the employer is. Let me add one more to what Felix said on why it's important sometimes to have job experience. Now, when I've been working for organizations across Sub-Saharan Africa, and one of the things I have noticed is the curriculum that we have in our universities today have very little to do with the expectations of the world of work. And so, for example, when we pick something in electrical engineering or something in mechanical engineering or something in actuarial science, most of the time, there is no exposition on how it is relevant to a practical case in the world of work. So you can have a first-class actuarial science student who comes and starts work in an insurance company and is unable to put any meaning to the actuarial analysis on a premium that an insurance client must pay. So the company would always have to pay such a person again. And when it happens like that, we have a challenge. When it happens like that, we are challenged a bit.
Okay, I think I'll continue from where Richmond ended and take a few more questions. But before then, I think Dr. Patrick Dente also has joined us. Patrick.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi.
Patrick, I don't know. I would want to hear your perspective. These are our young scholars coming out from school. In the next 2 or so months, they'll be out of school, and some are thinking of entrepreneurship. Some are thinking of entrepreneurship where they work for some people. Some are also looking at graduate studies. What's your perspective on these areas for them?
Okay, so thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Usually the step you take after your education or your graduation depends on where exactly you want to go to. So, for example, if you are in a field where you need more of practical skills, definitely you would have to get involved in the practical part first to prove to people you're working with that you can actually do what you want to do. For example, I know a couple of people I studied with, and for about like 10 years they've been doing engineering, they've been doing masters, they've been doing PhD and all that. Then they applied for a job and they went for an interview. And when he went for an interview, what he was meant to do was to just, fix a machine given to him. He couldn't because he didn't really have the practical aspect of whatever he learned. But then he had all the grades, he had the A's, he had the B's and everything. So I think one one person actually asked, why is it that the A's don't usually have the job, but then the C's and the B's usually have the job? From what I've seen, usually those who have the C's and the B's are people who had divided attention and were actually focusing on other skills. Get it? So like people who are usually like partaking maybe programs that helped with their leadership, helped with team management and all that. They had those skills as part of their process of schooling. So when they go for interviews, people who interview them, the employers see these kind of extra characteristics and skills, and they try to employ them instead, because at the end of the day, both the A and both the C students have the same certificate. Both of them can do the minimum job, but then what extra can you give to them if they employ you? So that's what usually happens. So if you want to get into like advance into something else, I think the best thing is to analyze the structure of the job you want to get into. If it's okay, for example, you want to be a medical student or something, I don't think it's so advisable to go to school for 8 years. Everything is going to be your books and your exams you've written. But then after the 8 years, when you get onto the field, you get to understand that it's not what is in the book that you actually have to do. You have to improvise sometimes. You have to add new skills, your team work and all that. So it's not a direct path. It depends on what exactly you want to do after your graduation. And one girl also asked about being why we should write exams and all that when you want to go back to somewhere else. So this is it. Every country has got its standard. Okay, the engineering we might practice in Ghana wouldn't be the same kind of engineering you will have in UK or US. So they actually want to know if you are qualified enough according to their standards. So they make you write the basic exam, and if you pass, then they are like they get convinced. They are convinced enough that okay, this person at least has the basic requirements we need to work with us. So those exams are like basic necessities for other countries. But in countries where we usually share the same certificates, like countries that use the WASI and other BEC and all that, you can use those same certificates to apply over there. But with UK and other countries, they don't use those things. So Dr. Richard said everything basically. Thank you for the opportunity.
All right, that's very good. I think for Mastercard scholars, we are not at the disadvantage point, because from first year to final year, we go through all these trainings to add some bit of soft skills to the things we are going to learn from classroom, which will make us equipped enough for the job market. Where from first year, you start your leadership skills, you do your summer camp training where you
go! Hey, video Bob you. You know, why am I? And it's so funny. Oh, someone come on for me say video.
Who is Swala? Where you learn about these leadership skills and all. So I think for Mastercard scholars, we are good to go. And please make sure your microphone is off or is on mute. Okay. All right, Mr. Richmond, we'll take the next set of questions.
Right.
So, I can see. All right, you can speak.
Did you lose
Dr.
me or you got my answers?
Oh, we lost you at a point. We lost you at a point, but
okay.
I think we are good to go. We'll take the next set
let's
of
take
questions,
the next.
and we'll start with
Ben Kerman wanted to say something, if I'm not mistaken. Ben.
I hadn't, but
All right,
you know, one thought actually, I will jump in. When in general, one of the things that we look for here, I'm in the United States, and I think you described the situation very well, in that many times we require licensing exams and other professional tests and certification to demonstrate a certain level of competence. If you're in medicine, or if you're in psychology or social work, in fields that are serving the public, part of that is to protect the safety of the public, to make sure that providers have a skill level. The other thing I was thinking of adding is, when I look at resumes, when I look at when I'm hiring, one of the things I look for is there a story? Is there a coherent story behind this candidate's experiences? They may include things that are sometimes not the most successful. They may have been times when the candidate was having a hard time in life, and there might be a hole in the resume where there's neither work nor education ongoing. And that isn't necessarily a horrible thing, as long as there's a story behind it that I can understand, and that shows things that are really the most important things, which are not only competence, but also commitment and drive and purpose. So, you know, for people who have, sometimes we do end up with holes in our resumes where there was neither school nor work. Being able to fill that in a way that matches your story. So, okay, I want to go into medicine. So that's when I was volunteering. That helps me understand, and it helps me assess whether somebody has something to contribute to my enterprise. So I just wanted to add that idea of being able to tell a story that brings all of your history together.
Absolutely. That's a great point, because you always have to tell me what you bring to the table. You tell me what you can give me that I don't have. The problems that I have, you don't come to become a problem for me, you become a solution provider. So you come to me and you tell me, what's your problem, and I can solve it for you. I'm going to take you, all right? So that's a little advice for all of us. I think, Etonam, back to you again. You did talk about having a goal, and then the goals shifting comes in. And yes, of course, if you look at even leaders, they come out with manifestos, they come out with big promises, but with time, they shift the goalpost. The world doesn't stand still. Environments change. There are circumstances beyond human control. What you have to do is to only focus on the things that you can control, right? So if you've set up a goal and it reaches a stage where you cannot control something, you don't worry about it, you shift. You shift to where you think you can have control. So it's okay to change your goal, to shift it to another level, but by all means, whatever you do, go forward, go forward, go forward, okay? Don't stand still, go forward. You're okay to change your goals, but make sure you progress at every time, every point in stage that you are going about your goals. That's my little advice again.
Thank you, Felix. All right, so we'll take the next set of questions, and I will start with Abdul Karim Wumpini. You can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Okay. Good evening to you, Mr. Host, and then to your panelists, as well as the participants. My question is in relation to, me finding myself at a crossroads. Like I have an intention of establishing my own business at the end of my service period, and also I'm also thinking at the same time pursuing my graduate course immediately after the service. So in this kind of situation, how am I actually going to balance myself in order to select the best option out of that? Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, we'll take the next one from Sandra. So Sandra, you unmute yourself and you ask your question. Sandra, your hand is up. Okay, then let's take Joanne Isuman. Joanne again. So Joanne, unmute yourself, then you ask your question.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. My question, I don't know if it's a question or a submission, but mostly we realize that, especially we, the Mastercard scholars, we are all scholars, but there are other opportunities like traveling for seminars and other stuff that comes along with it. And it happens that those who have social connections with our executives usually, I don't know, get those kind of opportunities. Sometimes we see it as a corruption in some way, that we have been cheated, some of us. And sometimes so I think that it is a resource that we should all build, like a social connection with somebody. When your name is mentioned somewhere, somebody who will speak on your behalf that yes, you should be selected. You might be the A person or the B person, the best person. But if you don't have anybody at the panel to speak for you, your name just gets mentioned and it will be brushed off. So we should all inculcate that skill in us to get that connection with people and to let our executives see us and the work we do, so that moving forward, what they will say about us will testify our good works. Thank you.
I think Joanne is talking about having a good network. I mean, if you need to apply to, say, a company A, and you are asked to bring your resume, there's a point where you write references. And imagine somebody you are referring doesn't really know you and becomes a problem. So I think perhaps when we have a good network, then people too can referee us in a good way, can probably give a good testimony of us. So I agree, we should widen our network, get good networks, and perhaps it will help. Okay, let's take another from Echo. Echo, you unmute yourself and you ask your question.
I think someone asked a question that hasn't been answered, correct?
Yes.
What was the question, please?
That is Abdul's question.
Abdul, what was the question? Forgive me, I think what was the question? Is that Abdul Karim? I think he's on mute.
I think Abdul wanted to know whether to pursue his postgraduate course or start with his business or going to entrepreneurship. He doesn't really know what to do.
That's a very good problem to have, Abdul Karim. You have you have two very good options: either pursue postgraduate education or pursue your own business. Now, let me ask you this counter question. if someone were to give you $1 million after your first degree, I'm talking $1 million versus you going to graduate, which one would you take? I'm sure you're going to take the 1 million, correct? And if the answer is yes, then I'm going to say, if you have a very, very good business case and you think business that you want to pursue has got a progressive future, then I'll say by all means go ahead and start the business. You can always go back to school. You can always, even whilst you do your own business, you can take distance programs, evening lessons to pursue your postgraduate. So if you think your business is right and you're ready to go, by all means, strike while the iron is hot. So you can start your business straight away and you can always do your extra lessons to pursue your postgraduate. That's a simple answer I can give you. And in that way, you kill two birds with one stone. Okay, so I think that is the best answer I can give that. If I were you, definitely that's what I would do. Okay, if the business is not right, then of course you need to perfect your skills to be able to come back into it. Then in that way, I would say go back and study more and become good so you can manage your business. But if it is right and you have good plans and you think it has a progressive future, go for it. Thank you.
All right. So let's take the
I'd like to shape in something about Abdul Karim.
Back to you.
Okay, so concerning being an entrepreneur and continuing with your education, I think you should analyze your resources before you get into it. You shouldn't. It's nice to have the emotion to have a business or the ambition to, or the dream to do something nice and big, but then it's always important to check your resources. If your resources are enough to start and maintain it for a while, then fine, you can go ahead. But if you don't really have the resources and the capital to continue, I think maybe you should wait a while before you can get into that. So you can't really maintain it with whatever you have, and it becomes a loss. So I think you should just go back, check the things you have with you, if it's good enough to start a business, or maybe if it's good to continue your education to have extra skills that will enable you manage it better. So what you have, your capital should also be a good point to determine where to go to. Thank you.
Right. So I've seen Sewa, your hand is up. Okay, looks like back to you, Isaac. Okay. Isaac,
I can see Stephen. Stephen, your hand is up.
Okay, thank you, sir, for this opportunity. I want to ask, how are professional courses, I mean accounting, as they have the ACCA, HR as they have the PHR, and other professional course, so marketable in corporate world? And once again, do you suggest or advise we taking professional course before or immediately after our first degree? Thank you.
All right. So Stephen wants to know whether it's advisable to take professional courses immediately after the first degree. Okay, so well noted. Sarah, let's take Sarah's question. So Sarah, you have to.
Ahmed Nazir says his hand is up, but he can't show it with his phone. So maybe after that, Ahmed Nazir.
Okay. So we take Sarah, then after Sarah, we'll go to Ahmed Nazir.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. I want to find out if, let's say, you want to read a particular course or you want to pursue a particular profession, but then you end up reading a different program let's say with first degree. So after first degree, can you drop the program and then pursue your whatever you want to do? Or you call that a waste of time? I don't know. Thank you.
Thank you too. So let's take Ahmed Nazir. Then I'll come back to you, Mr. Dr. Richmond, for your answers.
All right. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I have a question. I would like to find out what advice will you give to
Ahmed, we can hardly hear you.
I would like to find out. Please, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, it's better.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. I would like to find out what advice will you give to a student who have, let me say, has a calling career, which most people have been recommended that he should be in that field, and he himself know he has that skills, and also, but he as the person doesn't want to be in that field. He has a different field he wants to be. But he feels like he has the calling to exhibit certain skills in certain field. For instance, let me say I am a student who have the capability of being a lecturer, to the extent that even the lecturers themselves recommended me that I have to be in that field. But me as the student, I don't have that passion. But I know I have the skills, I have the capability, I can impact that place. But as the student, I don't also feel comfortable in that aspect. Although I know I have the skills in that. What advice would you give to students? And my last question is, we have been talking of mostly employers have been asking this question, like what are you bringing on board, which a lot of the partners have talked about. So I would like to find out, like what exactly, for instance, when we are on the interview, like we wait for the interview, what exactly should we tell the employer to show that this is what we are bringing on board? Like what exactly are they expecting from us to say, or what kind of skills do they expect that? Because I'm not part of the organization, so how may I know the problem the organization is facing? So if I'm coming, how do I identify that this the problem that you are facing, and this was going to be coming? So how, as a potential student, how should I address that issue? Thank you very much.
This question is very interesting. Okay, so this is how it's good. That is how you think as a student, but this is how the world of work thinks. You don't need to have been with the organization to know what you can do to support us. That is the difference between the one we will take and the one we will not take. So if indeed you are interested in the organization, you should first do a study of the industry. And by your own study, you should be able to tell what is the common competitive challenge in the industry. And you figure out what solutions you can prefer. Number two, you should have done some background studies on the organization itself, if indeed you really wanted to work with them. You'll probably know their products, you'll probably know their services, and you will know some shortcomings that have to do with their services. And when you do, you'll be able to show them alternative ways of addressing the challenges they may have. So when you go that extra mile to behave as if you're already working in the organization, get to know them, get to know their products, get to know their service, get to know their challenges, then you can now remember critical thinking as one of the solutions required in the future. So that is a critical thought process where you think about the organization from that point of view, and not think that because you don't work with them, you don't probably have nothing to offer, for which reason you can't tell them what you bring on board. We won't pick such a person. The other question that was asked, I would just simply say, one critical factor we all need, if you can hear me and hear clearly, is a factor of mentorship. You need to be guided. We can't answer everything at a go with one way. You need to be guided. You need to sit down with a mentor who can coach you, appreciate your personality, appreciate and help you to extract your purpose, help you to craft your vision document, help you to put together a working plan and goal. Somebody said he sets up goals and always he misses and changes it, probably because the goals are not specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time-bound, ethical, or even recorded. They are on your mind. You call them goals, but they are on your mind. You can't put together any book where you can reference them. They are probably not even linked to your life's vision or your life's goals. It is something that just came to your mind and you want to do. Now, when it is like that, it will not make meaning to you. So you would always have to change it. By just any little change, you will change it. But when your goals are smart, when your goals are linked to purpose, sometimes you may even miss them, but you keep your focus on what you've got to do to achieve them. So I want to invite all of you. The opportunity on this platform is that you can become proteges on a mentorship platform. But there's a requirement. We will share with you my YouTube handle called the RKF Coaching Platform. And between now and maybe the next 3 hours, look for the RKF Coaching Platform on YouTube. You type Richmond Kwame Frimpong, the link will be shared to you as well. Make sure you subscribe to it. There are a number of things we can walk you through without having to face-to-face meet a mentor. But for everything we have said, you need a mentor that can guide you. You probably can teach yourself to drive, but you can never teach yourself to fly a plane. You need an instructor that becomes your mentor. You probably can make an effort and walk about, but if you are interested in getting access to the top, you need a ladder. The ladder that will give you access to the top, that is a mentor you need. Somebody who can guide you to have an appreciation of a certain knowledge that would have taken you years, but you will get it in minutes. That is a mentor. Somebody who is willing to hold your hands and walk you to say, do this, don't do that. That is a mentor. And the RKFI coaching platform will give you that. If you can subscribe between now and the next 2 hours, I would admit you, we'll put you into teams. And then for those who need a business mentor, we'll get it for you. Those who need an academia mentor, we'll get it for you. Those who need an entrepreneurial mentor to maybe work in a company or another will guide you. Somebody who needs to take a graduate study course, an additional course, how do you get scholarship and things like that? Somebody can guide you to do that. But you've got to make sure you press the subscribe button on the RKF coaching platform. And we can guide you even after this so that you can become successful. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Richmond. I think time is fast spent. We have a few hands up. Joyce, and I can see Sarah's hand is up. After this session, I will share Dr. Richmond's email address in your cohort group so you can directly get in touch with him with your questions, and he will assist you in whatever means he has to. So, Dr. Richmond, it has been great having you on this platform to give us your perspective of how our scholars can exit and exit well to become the next corporate giants we are all looking out for. Dr. Patrick Dente, thank you very much for joining us from Kiev. How is Kiev? I think it's very cold by now.
For now, we are in summer, so it's okay. It's manageable now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think Felix is also joining us from UK. Felix, thank you very much for joining us. And any parting message for our scholars, Felix?
I think we lost Felix. Okay.
He's back.
I'm still here. Yes.
Invisible Felix.
Yes. So I'm just going to, I'm not sure if Abdul Karim got my answers when he asked the question whether to pursue postgraduate or to do his studies. I'm sure he got it, or did I get disconnected there?
No, he did. He got it.
He did. He did. He did. And like I said, I'm going to share the email addresses of our resource persons so that scholars can get in touch with them directly. So you can have access to them.
Yeah, I was disconnected.
Yes,
right.
we'll share.
Okay.
Yes, please.
We'll share their email addresses so you can directly contact them and ask your questions. So thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Any parting words from?
Can you hear me, or is it?
We can hear you.
Okay. So my parting words to you guys, everyone who has joined today, if you can hear me, I'm not sure if my internet is good or bad. Can you still hear me?
Go ahead, yes.
Frozen.
Yeah,
Yes.
we can.
Okay, so I'm quoting from Dr. Martin Luther King to all of you, and take this seriously. He says, if you cannot fly, walk. If you can't walk, run. But whatever you do, you have to move forward. And I said this earlier. So whether you are pursuing your postgraduate, whether you're doing your own business, whether you are an A student, whether you're a C student, make sure you bring something that takes you or the organization that you're going to work for forward. So at every point in time, make sure you bring something that brings more benefit to the people you work with and to the organization you're going to work with. With that, you're always going to be exceptional. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Felix.
I see Juan Suman asking
Sure.
if we will get certificate for participating in this, and that is for Isaac to probably answer subsequently.
That's fine. Doc, I'll get in touch and we would arrange for this. Perhaps we can do that for all those who participated. It's possible we can do that.
Right.
Any parting words, Dr. Patrick?
Okay, so before I say anything, Etonam, I think if you've got more questions, you can contact Isaac. I think he'll link you to me if you have more questions. So what I want to say is that with whatever you want to do, with whatever you've thought of, if you've thought of it, then it means it's possible. And for it to be possible and for it to come into reality depends on your persistence and how much work you are ready to put into whatever you are dreaming or thinking of. So if you are thinking of something, don't think it's too big or it's not possible or it's going to be too hard and you have to leave it. Your persistence will show how fast and how okay it's going to be. So I think that's all. Everything is possible if you put in work.
That's fine. Look, I'm back to you.
Well, so let me say that I have put the YouTube handle for the coaching platform on to everyone in this message on Zoom. Do well to subscribe in the next 2 hours, and we can pick those who have done the subscription, engage you so that we can put together some teams to mentor you, maybe for a month or two, to guide you so that any of the things that we couldn't handle, we can help you to get it done. Thank you, guys. The most important thing is I'm looking forward in the next 2-3 years to see in any of your industries, your names coming up as one of the most influential individuals who are making the Scholars Program a very great program, and the Scholars Program will be proud of you. Thank you, and go all out and achieve your dreams.
Thank you, Dr. Richmond, for having us. We are so grateful. Thank you, Dr. Patrick, for also joining us. Insightful thoughts. We are grateful. And Felix, thank you very much. We'll link up with you so that you can guide our scholars for us. Next future generation, that's what we are training. And they are very ready and hungry to succeed. And to our scholars, as you are about leaving campus, it's going to be difficult out there. I don't think it has ever been easy. It has been difficult from day one. But I know that with the training you've had from first year till now, you'll be able to succeed. Your community project that you've been doing, make sure you think of ways of monetizing them. Okay, if yours was about helping people to sweep their community, now look at ways to keep all the plastic waste that will be gathered so that perhaps you can get market for those plastic waste, because currently people are buying these things. If it is about some small farming you started, look at ways to get it broader so that you can bring people on board. And you would have a great future knowing that I have seen the potentials you guys have. I think you would have a very, very great future. The alumni coordinator is also on this platform. And I pray that you join the Alumni Association when you leave campus. And if Mr. Shadrach would want to say a word or two before Mr. Frederick Enning, the scholars president, pass a word or two to them. Shadrach, is there anything you would want to tell your scholars? Okay, then maybe we'll take from the scholars president, Frederick Enning.
Hi.
Frederick, what do you say to our resource persons and your final words to the scholars?
All right, so I want to say a very big thank you to all our resource persons, the lead of the discussion, and all our great men who joined from the UK, the Europe, the US, and all other parts of the world. And those in Ghana too, we are so much grateful for their input, for their presentation, their coaching, guidance, and everything. And also to my colleague scholars, I want us all to take whatever has been said unto us very serious, because that's the reality of life. We can't just go into the world so naive or without any information in mind. And we are so fortunate to receive such words and directions from our resource persons. Let's take them very serious. And at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure, very confident that everything is going to work for us. Let's not just be in our comfort zone as they've directed us. At the end of the day, if we step out of our comfort zone and also keep in mind that we have an impact to make and a change to make out there, we're going to be very successful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Frederick. And so, Dr. Richmond, thank you very much. Myself and the entire final year scholars remains grateful to your knowledge that has been shared here. We look forward for a beautiful partnership with you where you would link our scholars with good mentors that will mentor them in whatever endeavors they may be part in. We thank you very much for spending time with us today. Patrick and Felix, too, thank you very much. It has been a successful program, and my scholars will meet again, perhaps on Monday, those who are on campus. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All the best. A word of prayer to close it.
Maybe Doctor will say that word.
Father, we are grateful. We thank you for this privilege. And we ask that may these people be unleashed globally to become an example. May they not become unsuccessful. Help them and let them take action on everything we have shared, so that 5 years, 3 years, 10 years from now, we can point to their success and reference the Mastercard Foundation Scholars Program. Thank you for hearing us. In Jesus' name, we have prayed. Amen.
Amen.
One last thing, Dr. Richmond.
Yes.
Can you make the recording of this session available perhaps on your YouTube channel so scholars can perhaps go back to have a look at it?
Right, that can be done. And you can also visit the Facebook page, Richmond Kwame Frimpong. It will still be ready, available to watch again.
All right, that's fine. Thank you very much.
Right.